What's up, friends? Welcome to another episode of the Playing On podcast. My name is Markowski, and thank you for joining me. This episode is brought to you by Dr. Paintball, where if you head to drpaintball.com, you can actually search all of their new and used gear, along with a new program that they have. It's pretty sure it's called the Trade in Your Gear program. And what they can do is they can give you an estimate on what they can give you for your current gear, or it can be pretty much submitted for trade-in value for new gear. And I believe it's like a yearly basis thing, like it's a membership where you can keep doing this month after month if need be, or what have you. But if you head to drpaintball.com and you look up at the top menus, there's a Trade in Your Gear, or I believe it's on the main screen as well. You can read all the details and everything you need for that. Along with that, if you type in the promo code PLAYON, PLAON, you will get a free gift with your purchase. I don't know what the gift is. It's a surprise, so you're just gonna have to order and find out. But very cool people over at Dr. Paintball, very involved in the sport, along with the Trade in Your Gun program, or the Trade in Your Gear program rather. It's they have all kinds of new and used gear, like I said, but also they have a blog. They have a pretty much a news feed for current paintball events. But check them out, drpaintball.com. We're also brought to you by Carbon Paintball, where if you haven't seen it yet, go to carbonpaintball.com, and the new CC line is up. Pants, gloves, knee pads. We also have and jerseys along with that. We also have the new thermal pods that change color as the temperature rises in the pods, so you know when to chuck that and grab a new one. But along with that, we also have the high-end SC line, which is the pack with the padded airbag in the back, and the ever so famous underlayer, the base layer, that has all the protective padding in the top and bottom in the knee pads and elbow area that you would need. I have been wearing them all of last year. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's not hot. It doesn't it doesn't constrict you at all. It's a very, very nice fit. You want it kind of snug, but if you type in the promo code capital TPOP, don't type in capital, that's not a part of it, but TPOP, you will get 10% off your entire order. That's pretty cool. And make sure, if you guys have any questions at all, to go ahead and email me, carl@carbonpaintball.com, if your team is interested in the program where we will sponsor your team. We will help you guys out. We will get you in some of the slickest gear coming out. I guess that's been out since last year. So check them out, carbonpaintball.com. And last but not least, we are brought to you by Planet Eclipse, who makes the slickest markers on the planet. If you don't believe me, then look at almost everybody at these tournaments. They're all shooting Planet Eclipse markers. That goes a long way. The customer votes by their dollar, and a lot of people shooting Planet Eclipse out there. I have shot them ever since I turned pro, and so nice. Especially the LV series. You guys have probably heard me. You probably heard me just go on and on and on about the LV series. It's because it backs up, man. It has, this whole platform is awesome to me. I love the way they shoot. It's like butter. It hardly even kicks. It's ball on ball. Everybody says there's some like drop on the LV. It's called gravity, and every gun does it. They all drop off. I mean, I think everybody was just looking for a reason not to like this gun because it's so perfect. And I enjoy them thoroughly, but make sure you check them out, planeteclipse.com, and they have all kinds of soft goods along with casual gear and wear, but best known for the markers. Check them out, Planet Eclipse. Thank you to all of our sponsors. This episode is with John Dresser from Pbnation, and many other things, along with the Evil Teams and PMI. A lot of people know him though from Pbnation. I have to apologize. The internet connection that I've had for the past, I don't know, 2 weeks has been frustrating the hell out of me, and this one got a little choppy, so you're just gonna have to kind of listen through it. But I hate re-recording podcasts just because it doesn't seem authentic as when you originally do it and ask those questions and everything and have that conversation. But you're gonna have to forgive me on that. But I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you at the end. I think we ditched ours, man, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
So yeah, we kicked it a while ago. I think it was just the fact that I'm not big on sitting down for long periods of time, besides like doing stuff like this. But so like, well, I have a few shows that I watch, but other than that, I just can't. I'm too like, I don't know, call it ADD, I guess.
Fair enough. Move your head to one side. I want to see what other jerseys you have there.
So,
Old Excessive.
Yeah, this is the very
what's
first.
The blue?
This is the very first Excessive one. That's a New York Energy.
Yep, and then is that Excessive again?
So yeah, that's there's a Michael McLaughlin jersey.
Okay.
And then I have that X-Ball jersey.
Oh wow.
That one's a USA blank one.
Okay.
I have my very first jersey I ever bought, which is like a JT olive green. That doesn't even fit me anymore. That one's like a large.
What year?
2003.
Okay.
Maybe 4. Let me see. I'll show it to you. You might know from.
Man, that's before 2003. That's 2002, maybe.
Maybe 2002 actually. Yeah, because 3 is actually when I got on Tipman Effect, and then I don't know if you can see. Maybe I'll move you.
I can see Tipman, but it gets too dark in the corner to see.
So I have my Aftershock jersey from last year, a Bart Yakimak Impact jersey, a Cody Smick Dynasty jersey.
Oh wow!
2 of my my first jersey with my name on the back was the Tipman Effect X when we started playing X-Ball, and then my 7-man Tipman jersey, and then an Alex Frazier jersey from the Mohegan Sun Smart Parts event.
Wow! All right.
And then the Micah jersey, Energy, and then all those. Yeah.
So I think I might have Micah's first pro jersey.
Oh, really?
It's a Sandana Flying Skulls with no name.
Ooh.
But it was Micah's jersey on the Ironman.
Nice. It's hard to. How do you like authenticate something like that without a name?
I got it from Micah.
Well, I mean, there.
And he said that's my first. That was my.
There is
my
that.
Ironman
Yeah.
pro jersey. And at the time, I didn't even realize like he played on the Ironman when he was 16, 17.
Jeez.
And then left and went to school and then came back. He played with Bobby way back.
I've been meaning to get him on here too. Micah. Even Bob Long. I'd love to talk to Bob Long on here.
And then the first jersey I collected that I didn't own, like didn't really play or didn't have a connection was a Cody Smick Dynasty jersey.
Oh, really?
Yep. Just because Cody was one of those kids, I was like, you are so much better than any kid deserves to be at 16 years old.
Cody was nasty, man. He was
unbelievably good. You played with him on Tipman, did you not?
I think he had left the year I came on.
Okay. I knew you guys were close, to playing at the same time, but I wasn't sure how that worked.
Yeah, his skill level was so much sharper and matured, I feel, than mine. At his age, it was ridiculous.
He was a natural. He was supposed to play with us one year, and that was when he got invited to Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was on the roster, and then got invited to go play with Dynasty, and we were just like, no hard feelings, go play. And he was like, I can't turn it down. It's like I had a picture of them on my wall. He's like, I still have a picture of them on my wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. I still have a big JT poster of them.
Nice.
Yeah. I was thinking about it too because I wonder how. Well, I wonder if it was Tipman Effect too, how Dynasty noticed him, or if he.
It was vicious.
Yeah.
So I in 2003 for Commanders Cup, the first when they just lost the Vicious name and they were becoming Diesel, and the very first game we drew was Dynasty, and we had Danny Tiljack, we had Cody, we had Drew, we had Paulie was still playing,
Roger Glenn.
We had Junior, Steve Junior, man.
Did you have Roger at the time?
And we had Roger at the time.
Yeah.
And we beat Dynasty our first game in 7-man. And Oliver and at least one other Dynasty guy came and watched every other game we played.
Really?
Yeah, and then it didn't. And then it was another year, I think, before they picked up Cody.
I think
the follow Tiljack, and he went to Avalanche briefly and then Dynasty.
Gotcha. That
and
team
then
was
later
nasty.
back to Avalanche, played a few.
Yeah, I remember watching a few of the Vicious matches. You guys were... Was that your team?
No, not at all. I played with Evil, and we didn't play the final event for whatever reason. We were in the hunt for the season and then ran out of money. Didn't play the final 7-man, played 10-man instead. And so I guested with Vicious, and then, like I said, we became Diesel on the spot because Ed was getting sad about the Vicious name.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, man, Danny was nasty back then. Roger Glenn was crazy. I think that's what made our Avalanche team so good back then was Roger and Adam and Danny and Brandon Mayo, and I really enjoyed playing on that team. That was a stunt team.
Yeah, that you guys beat us in like 10 seconds one game. It was unbelievable. I want to say out in Boston or something. And you were on our back line. I was like, what in the actual fuck?
But I don't know what it was. We just couldn't. We were good enough. You know what I mean? We were good enough to make finals or to make top 4, but we were never good enough to really just to break into that first place.
I think a lot of people don't understand just how much mental tenacity and skill level and what it takes to actually win a pro event. Mm-hmm. Much less repeatedly, like some teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They make it a lot easier looking than what it is. That's for sure.
So it's one of the reasons I had a lot of faith in Impact coming up because I watched them play in semi-pro, and I was like, these guys just know how to win. Mm-hmm. And then lo and behold, one of their very first events was the Huntington Beach 7-man. And they were basically counting the bodies away from winning their very first pro event. Mm-hmm. They shot a bunch of Bob Long's guys off the break and didn't know. And Blast ended up holding on to that game. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I think it was best of 3 at the time. Blast pulled out the others. Yeah,
those were the days, man. I mean, I'd have to say 7-man is definitely my favorite format for sure. And I mean, even the waiting, and it was just a part of the game. You weren't waiting long enough to get frustrated, but you had other things to occupy your time with watching other games or what. But I don't know. It was so just involved. I feel the 7-man. I don't know. I miss it.
Right. I miss it, but I am long since taking any kind of serious competition paintball. Like I enjoy playing, but man, the level it takes to compete at that, or the commitment it takes to compete at that, is way beyond me these days.
I think that's the biggest thing, is just like you said, commitment, and I think that is the biggest. I think that's the biggest gap right now between the top level teams and the lower level teams as far as professional goes. I mean, you see, and I think I've said this before, you see so many professional sports out there where a lot of them have the money and the backing, and it's level across the board as far as, everybody's going to get playing time, practice time, this and that. Don't have to worry about tickets or money or anything like that. It's taken care of. Just play paintball. That's all you have to worry about. When a lot of other pro teams out there, they don't have that ability or that privilege to do that. And I think there's a significant difference. Obviously, there's teams that have heart that can come up and play or have a good tournament. But I think consistently, the teams that are going to be consistent are the teams that are well-funded and the teams that play just a lot of paintball as individuals, too. And, I mean, it helps, obviously, when they're as a team and they're playing together the 2 or 3 weekends before the event. But a lot of the guys on the top teams, man, that's all they do. They play paintball all the time.
Some of the guys. I'd be hard-pressed to say a lot of the guys on the top teams. The Impact guys, Heat guys, it doesn't go much, Russian Legion guys, it doesn't go much deeper than that, does it?
Okay, so let's say West Coast guys, Southern guys. Name the top, let's say, I don't know, top 5 teams, and are they from the East Coast, Midwest area? I have to say they're all from Texas or California area. I mean, Impact.
And that's part of that's being able to play year round.
Exactly.
There's this big gap where it's this black hole. When's the last time you played outside at home?
Last year, before World Cup.
So, yeah, and you don't even live where it's up in New England or something ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I'm not trying to make excuses for the other teams. I'm just saying a lot of other sports, they are a lot more level as far as support goes, or ability as a team, and just ability to play whatever game you are playing. I mean, you'll have an indoor facility. If you're football or soccer or professional, whatever, you'll have that whatever to facilitate your ability to play that sport. But, I mean, paintball is just, there's such, if you're not able to play year-round, I think it's very tough to stay competing at the high level, at every single tournament.
Fair enough. All right, how do we do this? You feel warmed up?
Yeah, well, I've been recording for 12 minutes, so I just kind of cut it up to where it's like, and then I've noticed that from a lot of people too, is what happens is, like, I say, hey, we're recording, and as soon as I say that, it's like, they kind of back off and get a little nervous. So if I, like, record at any kind of random time and we're just kind of talking, it's a lot.
I wasn't sure how you like to do your intro or anything like that.
So all of my stuff is done post-recording. Okay. Yeah, so that's all done after the fact. Mainly, like with these, I just like them to be as back and forth as possible as far as conversation goes. Not necessarily me asking you a bunch of questions all the time, but
no, I understand, and it's been fun to listen to see where you go on some of them, and like I said, how naturally you do it. When we were talking about how pro teams have an advantage, well, think about how that used to be back in the day when people weren't playing airball, when there weren't indoors, when people were playing in the woods. Mm-hmm. For the longest time, there was the Iron Triangle. The top 3 teams were Ironmen from from California, but the All-Americans, not from Pennsylvania, where they can practice year-round, and Aftershock, Chicago, not where they can practice year-round. Mm-hmm. And I was always amazed that those 2 teams could just pick it up and start playing at the first event in Vegas or somewhere warm. They couldn't have practiced that much.
No, and I wonder, would you consider those 2 teams, the All-Americans and Aftershock, 2 of the most highly funded teams at the time?
Yes. I'm not sure how well funded Aftershock was. The All-Americans definitely were one of the best funded teams.
Not saying that would give them an advantage playing-wise, but I'm just trying to think of how. I mean, they definitely were able to pick it up just from, not being able to play very much.
But for years, when I started following professional paintball, those were the only 3 teams that won an event. That was it. Yeah. Other teams would make the finals. Sometimes one of them would miss the finals. Occasionally, one would even miss Sunday. But one of those 3 teams won an event. And then finally, I think Bad Company broke the streak. The NPPL had been going for years before a team won that wasn't one of those three, and it was Bad Company, and then the very next event I think was Chicago, and Rage won, and then it was back to those three.
All I can think of whenever I think of Bad Company, I just think of Colby Gallagher.
Of course.
Is Colby at Toledo Indoor here in Ohio, and he was just ravened out from head to toe with Raven gear, and his goggles are Raven. He's rocking a Spider, I think like AMG or something, and I was like, man, that's goofy looking.
But to me, that's Bad Company way later on,
really?
Because Bad Company had been through playing with Automags, playing with Shockers. Looking like most other, wearing JT stuff.
The shoebox Shockers.
Shoebox Shockers. Oh yeah. Before they took that big Spider deal. So it was completely different. They were. I think Tom Cole, like, he was probably the most popular team captain. I think everybody tried to get him to come be the team captain of their team.
Really?
Because he was he could take his ragtag group, and they were competitive. And then later on, like I said, it was very different when they took the Spiders. Then they had a reason not to be the top team, because they were definitely not using the best equipment. Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, do you know who ran Spider, or why Spider is not around anymore?
They were one of the early adopters of a smaller paint caliber, and so they made a big push for, I think it was 43 caliber.
Really?
But Kingman eventually was bought out by Empire, who was then bought out by GI. So some of the Spider Legacy products might still be around, or they might bring them back at some point. But Arthur Chang, who ran Kingman, is long since out.
So is the famed Spider Cup, where they gave away those Mustangs, was that fully funded by Spider, that tournament?
Yeah, that was fully funded by Blowback Guns. They sold that many of them.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, that was one of the stories when I heard that I forget who it was. I think it was Greenspan, and I think Nikki Cuba, and it wasn't like Dynasty. It was a couple of the Dynasty guys and a few other guys, right?
Okay, well, back up. Nikki Cuba was long since pro, and because he went pro with GZ in the early aught. Well, hold on. Let me think. Yeah, he went pro before Spider Cup, for sure, with GZ. The thing about Spider Cup is that it was only amateur players. And that was year his cap. And so no Oliver. Oliver was on the Ironman.
Yes.
But Yosh, Ryan, Alex, Eric Crandall might have been playing around that time. But all those guys were still amateurs. It was the year before they became Dynasty. So they were all allowed to play.
Crazy. That's nuts. It was an amateur tournament, and they were giving away five Mustangs.
Because at the time, Matty, like some of the pros, were real sad. They were like, well, man, if we take a couple of years off from being pro, if they're going to be amateur tournaments like this, we can go rob these amateur tournaments. Because a car was better than winning 3 pro events.
Yeah.
It's pro events. And nobody was that consistent.
It's better than winning a pro event now.
Well, now pro events are the prize package has definitely gone down. I mean, there's no way around it.
Significantly.
So that's what, 10 grand for first place?
I think 12.
Okay, but I don't think that's a tough one. I am not hard on the NXL for only offering 12 grand because honestly, who else is running pro events?
Yeah, I mean, they are the only league.
They're the only league, but they're not the only league because they're the only league because other people don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Running a pro league is not a great way to make money, but I'm glad we have it.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, I'm grateful that the league is around. I'm just wondering structurally Is there a way? Because I mean, I'm trying to think of it from the perspective of a team owner, right? So is it worth it with how much money they spend? Is it worth the risk of not winning to be spending, I feel like, close to, if not more, than what you would even win if you won the event?
It's why I'm glad we have people like Bart, people like Randy, people that are willing to run teams. People, I don't know Aftershock's deal, obviously, but I'm glad we have guys like Rennick that want to keep pro paintball around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Without individuals like that, I don't think we'd have pro paintball.
No, and I think just like I think just like any other time in the sport, I feel like people come and go. I mean, obviously they have stuck around all these years, but I think we're at that time where we need to figure out how to make it to the general public and pitchable, almost.
It's honestly how we got X-Ball. Because X-Ball was developed as a points-based system to try and bring paintball to the masses. And I'm not sure it's worked. I don't think it's any less confusing. I don't think people can watch it that aren't paintball players, that aren't paintball fans already. I think it's very difficult to watch, especially with split deck. And split deck seems to be one of those necessary evils to be able to run that many games, especially now that we're at 20 pro teams.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not making the decisions, and I'm not, a businessman or anything like that. I'm just an observer and a / player, but it's tough because I feel like so many of the games are crammed in together right now as we speak. I just don't know how. I mean, we're going to be playing until 6, 7 o'clock at night. They're going to have to spend more money on lights to keep the fields lit just so we can play the rest of our pro games out.
I am interested to see how it works out. I don't mind the idea of 20 pro teams. I wish that with 20 pro teams we went back to champs and challengers.
I did not mind that format. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I watched more paintball that year, more professional level paintball than I had ever watched before because every game mattered.
Exactly.
It didn't matter. Every relegation game obviously mattered, but if even a team doing well that dropped a game, all of a sudden, even if they knew they couldn't advance, well, they might want to get their point margin up. They might have to win their last game just to avoid that relegation game.
Yeah, there's no drawback, and I don't know after the end of last year if there was a threat of being relegated to or dropped out of the pro bracket or how exactly that works.
Thunder was relegated and brought back when they expanded to 20 teams.
Okay.
So Thunder was Seattle Thunder was the bottom ranked pro team. And when I talked to the NXL after World Cup, they told me that Thunder was going to be relegated and that DMG was going to get promoted.
So it was just the bottom team, though? Just
the one bottom team. Not nearly as exciting as teams every single event.
Yeah. What do you think about the off-season roster changes? The late off-season roster changes.
It's been nuts. I didn't hear there was nothing for a long time.
Yeah.
And then AC Dallas was looking for players, and the Ironmen were looking for players, and there were rumors of even bigger changes than what actually happened. It got me on my toes, just kind of waiting for it to drop, especially with guys like Damien. So I knew Damien was going, or I was told Damien was going to go to the Ironmen. But I didn't want to say anything because his job's with Valken, right? So I don't want to jeopardize his living by rumor mongering.
Right.
So it's interesting waiting it out and seeing what actually happened, and then hearing about other moves that didn't happen. So it seems like Ironman's the big winner, right? In the off season.
On paper.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they can perform at that level. They dropped Meter and picked up Damien, Trevor, and Spica.
And lost Skemp to
and
retirement.
lost stock count. Yep. So that's a big switch.
Yeah.
See how they do. But it's not like what was Infamous ranked?
Oh man, I don't know. I think they were second or third tier, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think they were in the second tier, so they're in the top 8, but not in the top 4.
No.
And I think a lot of people are expecting Ironman to be in that top 4.
I mean, there's always expectations, right? You know, and everybody goes, oh, well, they got this guy. Well, oh, they got this guy. And then, you know, well, it all depends on chemistry. And they could have amazing practices. But, I mean, just like you know, because you've been playing the sport forever, you can have the most amazing chemistry at practice, and then the tournament comes around, and all chaos can ensue. But, you know, or it all works out perfectly. It's really, you know, it's really comes down to those first couple tournaments to see the momentum, if it picks up or not.
The biggest switch of all time, obviously, to me, is still Oliver, right? And Oliver coming back to Dynasty and then instantly starting to win events was incredible. It was a good time to be a fan of paintball.
Yeah,
just because they won multiple events back to back all in a row. I think they won a NPPL, a PSP, and a Millennium, all bang bang bang. And so, like you said, it's a switch, and that was on paper, but that was also obviously chemistry.
Yeah, and it's all hush hush too. It's always all hush hush because there's no contracts, at least publicly. There's nobody's, you know, there's no free agents. This is all like behind closed doors stuff because it's not like the NHL or the NFL or anything like that. So it's not like, well, this year, you know, so and so's a free agent and so and so's a free agent. This is their last year on the contract. It's always just like, it's always who's going where at the end of the year all the time.
Well, with Oliver, it was known that it was a 5-year contract with Dye, and he'd satisfied his 5 years. So that one was, people were anxious waiting because he was either going to renew in some way, he was going to come back,
yeah,
he was going to go to Dynasty, going to go to a new team, and I think that was why there was the off-season mayhem with Spica. That I think Spica's contract wasn't up yet, and therefore he wasn't allowed to say anything yet. And that's why it was an open secret that he was going to the Ironman. He was playing with them. He was outfitted in Dye gear, but he didn't officially announce it yet.
I should be coming to you for all the info because you are like the guy because you are Pbnation. So it's like you're looking for that, you know, information to be put out there. So I just need to get a hold of you if I'm thinking of anything.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
Do I have to just do stretches or all my exercises?
Just do stretches, buddy. Wave to Carl.
Hi.
Hi, bud.
Hi.
All right, you got to stay upstairs, buddy.
Okay.
Love you.
How does he, like 11, 12?
Oh, 11. He is 8, and
10,
he's
8?
short for 8. That's the camera.
The screen made him look tall.
He's a good kid. He likes going to the paintball field because to him he's a very calm, very very laid back kid. But around guys, he's pants off crazy. Like he can do whatever he wants. And so I took him to the field recently, and I was getting dressed, and he was literally standing on the cab of someone's truck with a bag of paint, whipping it at people, and yelling "dance." And so he's throwing these paintballs at a guy, yelling "dance, boy!" And the guy's like, "Whoa, you can't call people boy." It's like, that's offensive. And so he throws another one and says, "Dance, fat boy." But most of the time, super laid back.
Comes out of his shell. Yeah, my son, he's gonna be 2. Let's see, in March.
Nice.
Yeah, growing up
I
quick.
lost you for a second there.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of going in and out, so I'm just kind of going with the flow.
It won't be long before you can take him to the field and he can hang out a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's kind of getting into hockey a little bit. He's watching a lot of games with me, so he's I'm turning him into a little hockey fan. So
Nice.
Also, there's a lot of things going on very quickly in hockey, so it keeps his attention for the most part. So let's talk a little bit about Pbnation and how it came about.
I don't know. I wasn't there for the start of Pbnation. Pbnation started in 2000, and it was 3 guys, one of which stuck with it. And Tony basically, over Christmas break, started a forum so he could go back to high school and say, hey, I started a paintball forum.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is it crashed once or twice. So he literally borrowed his dad's credit card, bought a server. And his dad, Ed, later got involved. And then over the years, they'd accept like a gun for advertising, and they'd shoot the gun, and someone would take and go play with the gun. They'd be like, oh no, we have bills to pay.
Yeah.
So Ed bought into the site when it was just exploding, and obviously costs were going up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get involved with Pbnation in any way until, I want to say 2002. In 2002, I was working at a paintball manufacturer called PMI,
mm-hmm.
who had the brand Evil, and later became part of Empire, or Key.
What were you doing for them?
I ran the customer service department, did some testing and research and development, but mostly what I did is ran all of customer service.
Gotcha.
And so I had kids that worked for me that answered the phone 100 times a day. No, you have to put CO2 in the tank. It won't work without CO2. So I guess I was there, and what we were doing is, as part of customer service, as the internet was growing and growing, I told the kids, I was like, look, I say kids, but 20-year-old guys that worked for me, it's like, you have to check online each day, check these 12 forums or 12 places for problems. I don't want to know about a thread that's hundreds of posts long about one of our problems later. I want you guys to be on top of it. So every morning they would go check. And as Pbnation grew, they were no longer checking 12 places. They were checking 4, 2, until it was, all right, if you guys check Pbnation, then we're in good shape.
Yeah.
And then later on, became involved again when catching a thief. We had a gun go missing, and it turned out that gun was sold on Pbnation. And by the Pbnation guys helped us out, and we were able to track out that it was our warehouse manager that was actually stealing.
Oh, wow.
And so they were very helpful with that, and that started a relationship with the mods and administrators with Pbnation. And then I kept up with them when I left PMI and went to a small paintball company called Lucky for a year. And then after I worked at Lucky, and that was not going well, Pbnation asked me to come aboard.
And now are you sole Pbnation?
I work for a company called Vertical Scope that owns Pbnation. They actually own hundreds of car forums. And Pbnation is a small piece of it. But yes, I run Pbnation for Vertical Scope.
Gotcha. How much of a pain in the ass is that?
I enjoy it. Like I said, I had that customer service background, and most of it doesn't bother me. I legitimately enjoy it. I have been playing paintball for 25 years or something.
Holy shit.
Yeah, possibly longer. Yeah, in fact, longer now. I started in 1990. So
wow.
Yeah, some hippie math. And I still love it. I still enjoy every bit of it. So it's not obviously there are people that get out of control, but for the most part, I enjoy it. I enjoy dealing with the manufacturers. I enjoy dealing with the users. I enjoy the community aspect of it. I've enjoyed as we've evolved a little bit and done a little bit more news style things.
Yeah.
So
you've seen the sport, pretty much almost in its infancy and just into what it's grown into now and today.
I've gotten to see a lot of it. When I started playing, it was stock class. It was 10-round tubes. It was 12 grams. And in 1990, paintball had evolved beyond that. But my local field did 1 week a month or 1 weekend a month that was stock class day. And so they gave you a Splatmaster, an old green Splatmaster, as your rental. And there were no semis allowed on the field. They were all They were all pump action, or you had to cock the gun between each shot.
No thanks. Maybe that's not why. Maybe that's not why I'm like into autocockers and everything too. I just cannot get into the whole autococker thing. I don't know. It's not.
That's okay. It's Planet Eclipse has the GMEC coming out. If you want to play mechanical and don't want to deal with the finicky nature of an autococker, or you don't have any nostalgia for it. Autocockers do well because of nostalgia. If there's no nostalgia for you, when did you start playing?
I started playing in 2002.
Okay, so but 2002 was a huge change. That was when machine guns took over. That in 2001, it wasn't uncommon to see a whole team of autocockers almost.
Yeah.
2002, things had changed, and by 2003, it was straight on. You needed a halo or at the very least an egg to keep up.
An egg? Oh my god, I remember those loaders. And
an intimidator or something that could shoot fast.
Yeah.
Paintball went the late 90s, where electronic guns were the rarity, to 2003, where electronic guns were necessary for tournament paintball because the rate of fire went through the roof.
Yeah.
None of this capped either. It was whatever you could get away with.
See, I don't have a problem shooting a Tippmann 98 with a manual double trigger at all, but for some reason, and I think it's because it's just a tank and it'll always shoot, but for some reason, whenever I have had an autococker, it could be working when this other guy is shooting it or some other person is shooting it, and then it will be in my hands and it will just fall apart into pieces. Will not work ever.
It's all about the trigger pull. With a Tippmann, if you pull it, you either pull the trigger or you don't. So it either shoots or it doesn't. With an autococker, it does a whole lot of different things during that trigger pull, but shooting the ball and recocking the gun are two completely different things, and then letting all the way off the trigger is a third thing.
Yeah.
If you don't do all three, and the gun doesn't do all three, then it's impossible to shoot. And next time you shoot an autococker, don't just pay attention to pulling the trigger, pay attention to releasing the trigger. Because to me, that's one of the that's actually something that a guy named Danny Love said to me that used to play on Aftershock.
Yeah.
That he said back then it was automags and autocockers, and he said with the automags, pulling the trigger is the most important part, because if you short stroke it, it won't work properly. But with an autococker, releasing the trigger is just as important.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to shoot an autococker again, and it won't bother me.
That's a shame for somebody on Aftershock.
It's 2018. I guess we can make some kind of changes going forward. There's enough guys on the team that still shoot them, so it'll override my negligence of autococker ability.
So I say Rob Velez probably owns one. Who else do you play with? Nick Slowiak, who you played with last year, owns several.
Yes, he's on X Factor now.
He is on X Factor now.
And
did you see that coming?
No.
Did you know he was going to bail?
Not really. That one was kind of up in the air. I talked to him like a week before it happened, and then I saw him at a practice, and then there was like some kind of social media post that happened, and I was like, wait a minute. Well, everybody was wearing all these different jerseys, and I didn't know if he was just wearing like a different jersey just to wear it.
I wasn't sure either, and Rennick actually told me. Rennick's like, yeah, it's real.
Yeah, I try to listen to Bruno, but I feel like I can really never, ever believe him, but I try to. And sometimes he's right. Actually, probably most of the times he's right, but he sounds like I can't believe him. So it's like, he's like, no, bro, it's true. It's true, bro. It is. I'm like, I don't know, Bruno.
Bruno since 97-ish. And it was funny. Bruno took a break from paintball. He'd been gone for a while, and it was a PSP event. Man, I don't know when, but the UWL was going on at the same event, and so I went to the PSP event to try and play a UWL because I'd never played one at the time. And Bruno was there, and Aftershock was putting in a team, and Bob Long's Ironman were putting in a team. I'm like, man, it's going to be a hard it's gonna be a hard road to get on and play with the Aftershock guys.
Yeah.
We butted heads back in the day, and they probably still don't like me for whatever reason.
Why wouldn't they like you?
Stuff and reasons. So
the juicy stuff you're leaving out.
There's nothing juicy about it. Like we used to practice each other. There used to be some yellings.
Oh, that happens all the time still.
That happens all the time. People used to take it honestly, team loyalty back then I think was different.
Mm-hmm.
That people were very loyal to their teams. People didn't jump around as much.
There were rivalries, like
for sure,
way more back then.
Our side, Aftershock wasn't a pro rivalry. We were an amateur team, but out of Chicago, and I came to it long after that rivalry was set in stone. And I joined Farside, and when we played Aftershock, we made sure to make sure that she shoot them enough that they left the field, and they made sure to shoot them.
Return the favor.
And I would never took any of it personally. In fact, I was a fan of Aftershock coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I figured it was going to be a long shot to get on. But as it worked out, we needed a player, and UWL was a very loose format, so I jumped on with the Aftershock guys. Mm-hmm. And Bruno had been away for a while, and Bruno was like, man, he's like, I wasn't sure I was going to like paintball again. It's been so long since I played. It's like, but I put a mask on. I'm like, man. He's like, I started breathing. I was like, I started feeling it. It's like, go shoot somebody. You should go shoot the hell out of somebody. It's like, then I stepped on the field. He's like, I was like, I'm back. I'm going to play. I'm going to mess people up. He's like, then I saw you step on the field, and I saw red. He's like, I was going to shoot the shit out of you. It's like, I couldn't wait. And then you walked over to our side, and I realized you were on our team, and I was like, this is all a effing joke.
That sounds about right. Yeah, now Bruno, he doesn't say, I'm back. He says, oh, my back. He says, oh, my back. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm interested.
Since I've got to with...
I was gonna say, like, I've always been interested in playing a UWL. I just never had the chance to yet.
The throwback style, the UWL has evolved a couple times now. UWL is Ultimate Woods Ball League, so it's woods only, and now classic events are coming up where the rate of fire has to be at 5.5, or you shoot a mechanical gun. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if the UWL is going to continue. Tom Cole ran the UWL for years, but he's got a lot on his plate now with a second NXL league over in Europe.
Yeah. So
I don't know if he's going to merge with classic events, if he's just going to table the UWL, or what his plan is.
So what was the reason, if you know the answer, what was the reason for taking over the Millennium instead of investing the time and the money into making this league over here the best it could be? What do you know the reason why they would spread themselves so thin?
No, I don't. I'm not privy to those discussions. I just I don't know. I know that I don't have a good answer for that, and I definitely don't have a good answer that wouldn't get me in all sorts of trouble.
That's all right. Nobody listens to this podcast anyway, so you can.
Hey, I'm a fan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And actually, I have a couple fans a couple friends that listen to it religiously.
Really?
It doesn't matter who you have on; they're all about it, and I think that's testament to you. I think you do very well with this. I think you're very natural at it. I think you're entertaining at it. I think you keep the conversation going, and I think a lot of people don't know where the conversation is going to go, and so they're interested in whatever direction it takes.
I think that's what I like about it too. Is like, we can talk about whatever. I mean, obviously this is a paintball podcast, but I eventually want it to turn into just a life in general podcast.
Interesting.
With some bases to go along with it. Like, obviously we have something in common where we've known each other for a long time, but on top of that we play paintball. So it's like we can create conversation from that, and life experiences. Everybody has a story. Everybody has an experience. But if you can, and everybody can have a conversation, it's just you have to, if you have something in common in any way, which we all do, we all have something in common, whether it be we all take a shit, I mean, because everybody does, so everybody has a shit story or something. But I mean, it's everybody has something in common, and you can build off of that. That's what I've always tried to do, is is make it as personable as possible, but make it interesting. I mean, because I want to know, I truthfully want to know everybody that I have on here, their story and their stories that they've grown up with and know. So, I mean, that's my take on it.
So you said we've known each other a while. So I noticed you, I think, I want to say back in your Tippmann days. And then, because you went straight from Tippmann to Excessive, didn't you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So when you joined Excessive, Scott Kemp joined around the same time, right?
Yeah, Excessive, yeah, I think so.
Because I used to get you guys confused a little bit, or use you two interchangeably until I just figured out just how ridiculously fast you were, and then it was real easy to figure out. And then paid a lot more attention, because it's one of the reasons I've enjoyed watching you come back and play again, is just because of your speed, just because of the risks you were willing to take. It didn't seem like we had that as much in paintball, so it was a little bit of an old school flair of they're going to risk the fast guy going someplace crazy. Yeah,
and you know what? Honestly, I enjoy it. Sometimes they're not the smartest moves, but I believe that they're the most daring. And I think sometimes the smart paintball is the boring paintball. And for me, not just for the people on the sidelines, but for me, personally, call me impatient. I don't know, but I have to be doing something, and I have to feel productive. Whether it be maybe go to a 50 or a 40 Dorito or something off the break and just sit for a little bit, I still feel productive. But if I'm in these, the one thing I cannot stand, and it drives me nuts, are these games that we have now where they're 3, 4, 2-point matches. It drives me up the wall, because I know that is not going to be that's not going to be interesting to anybody else watching the game for the first time. But it's not even my style of play too, so that's another reason why I don't find it interesting. But it's just, I don't know, I enjoy being involved in the game and feeling involved in the game of what's happening.
So why is paintball slowed down so much? Paintball slowed down so much.
Say again?
Why is pro paintball slowed down so much?
Well, from my perspective, I think paintball has slowed down a lot more because I think it's become a lot more mental, as in going back to the old style of play. I feel like when we had full auto markers, when we had all these crazy things coming out, it was all about that, and it was all about just the madness of everything happening, and I feel like that's what it was back then, was madness and chaos. Now I feel like it's a little bit more controlled chaos and a lot more mental, going back to, like, let's say the 10-man days instead of the early X-Ball days. Because, a lot of teams now really don't want to take those risks. They want to really work as a team down the field, and you see a lot less individual movement and a lot more, moving in twos. And, I mean, look at Impact, for example, or even the top teams. There's a lot more teamwork involved. I feel, and there's a lot more smarter paintball being played. I don't think that's the reason why Aftershock is not performing. Hell, if we would have won 3 of the overtime matches last year, we would have played on Sunday 3 times. So I mean, it's
dangerously close.
A lot of people forget that. I think we had a really good team last year. We were young, we were learning, we were improving. But if we would have won those 3 matches to play for Sunday, to go to we would have had so much more positive feedback than people saying, well, it's Aftershock and they're always at the bottom. It's like 3 points, and we're playing on Sunday 3 times, and who knows what could have happened after that. So it's very brutal, and I think in that, those points are the reason where I think paintball is we probably tried to push a little bit more than what we should have. We played it a little bit too fast and didn't play as smart as we could have, and the other teams played smarter and slower, I guess, than we did. So, I mean, I think that's why it slowed down. I think it's just, the wall didn't help.
Well, the wall's gone, so.
Yeah,
What's going to happen this year?
I think it's going to play a lot more like 7-man or 5-man per se.
My hope is that they don't make the snake too strong. If they make the snake either hard to get to or a little weaker at times, then people will get to play through the center. People will still play the snake. People will still play the Doritos. But for years with X-Ball, the center was unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
It was you went there late, or you went there as a surprise move, or something with the X. And the X obviously changed shape many times. And was more or less playable depending on what year.
Yeah, it wasn't as safe.
But then the wall was an overcorrection. The wall was too big. It was too safe to play. That both teams could easily take the 50.
Yeah.
So I think that this modular version of the center hopefully will be will still be attackable, but it won't be a guaranteed trade out. It'll finally allow, for the first time in X-Ball's history, make the center more playable.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And me as a snake player and being a snake player for years, these snakes that I have hated, and I mean hated with a passion, are the ladder snakes. I hated the ladder snakes. I still do, because I think, you can say, a smart snake player can play any snake, right? And I believe that's true. But me, personally, I feel like it's more of a challenge to play a snake that's broken up and segment it off, rather than one where you can just, shoot the tape from the corner and crawl all the way down, and then you shoot a bunch of guys in the back. That's not fun to me. It's not fun to me. Fun to me is having a challenge at every single spot that I would play in the snake. To have having to shoot a guy in to go to my next spot, and then shoot another guy in, maybe two guys, shoot those two guys in to go to my next spot, and actually feel like I'm not just doing something brainless, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and it's one of the things I wonder about with layouts being released early, and basically people all over the world, or at least all over the country, playing the same layout. And then maybe that layout staying after events. I wonder if that makes airballs on the stale side. Mm-hmm. I like playing different layouts. I have definitely been sad when some layouts came out.
Yeah.
And been like, oh, well, the snake is almost unplayable. You cannot, a good team cannot get there. Divisional teams will play it, but the pros, we won't even see them near it.
Yeah. What would be cool was if we didn't have any layouts at the beginning of the year. This is just an idea. No layouts at the beginning of the year, but the person, whoever makes them, whoever that is, I think I know who it is though. But we have, let's say, before each event, let's say every Thursday or Wednesday, even say Wednesday. Let's say Wednesday. There's 3 fields that comes out. It goes to a public vote of which field is played that event.
Yeah,
and then
the NXL has discussed something like that before, and so I would love it to go to blind layouts. The fear is obviously that teams would try and go play it on site or off site immediately. I think it's easy enough. I think it's easy enough for the NXL just to make a rule of look, it's going to be released on Thursday or whatever, but no, you cannot go play it off site to the pros.
Yeah.
It would be hard to force past the pros. And I'd like to see them play blind layouts, if for no other reason. Have just gotten out of control, and it is some of the most boring paintball for me to watch.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's kind of my predicament right now. Like talking about the snake, for me, it's a challenging snake is a methodical snake, the segmented snake. But for people in the stands, I feel like they like seeing a guy just crawl all the way down to the end of the snake and then shoot a couple people in the back. But I mean,
so what'd you think of World Cup snake?
I liked it.
With that weird death trap at the 50.
I thought it was cool. I didn't play it as well as I should have. Actually, that World Cup was probably my least best. What the hell word am I trying to find? That was my worst World Cup that I've ever played. How about that? I did not. I don't know what it was, man. Just nothing clicked, and I didn't feel right. Not that I felt sick or something like that, but I wasn't. I've been playing paintball for a long time and playing tournaments for a long time and getting ready to play events or a match for a long time, and it was just not. I don't know. My head wasn't there. My body felt weird, but it was weird. It was a weird event for me, and I feel like I didn't really produce for my team, and I kind of dropped the ball.
Sorry I brought it up.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. So,
have you played the new field bunkers yet?
No, I have not. I've been watching all the videos.
Yeah, we're talking about advantages and off-season advantages. That's X Factor has a field. And has the weather to play it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I know I know a lot of the guys over in Chicago. They have a bunch of indoors by them. My closest indoor, I think, is like 2.5 hours away, and I haven't been able to get up and play yet. I've just had a lot of family stuff to do and everything.
Does your indoor have the field though?
And it's not. I don't even think it's the right size, and I don't even think they have the right bunkers.
No.
So, yeah, exactly. It's so tough, man. It's so tough.
It is. So talking about top pro teams, who do you think is going to be who's going to be up there this next year with the off-season changes?
With the off-season changes, I would say Aftershock. For one. Well, I mean, to be honest, I really think that I think that we're going to be a sleeper team, and I want to say that we're going to win an event this year, but if we don't, I feel like placing in the top 4, a good handful of the events will, and getting the team up and going again. Obviously, I want to win an event, but I think we're going to place a few times in the top 4.
Watching that 2015 World Cup, man, I was expecting 2016 and 2017. I want to see that Aftershock again.
Yeah.
So,
it'll be.
I hope we make it into that top 4. Yeah, to me, even with the changes, Impact's going to be the team to beat still.
Yeah.
They just won the Winter Classic, but even before that, all of their guys are returning. They're just so they attack really well. They can run the clock really well.
Mm-hmm.
It will be interesting to see if anybody can compete at that level. Dynasty lost a key player with Spica. They would have been a challenger. Heat's bringing their whole roster back. X Factor is a great team, but man, I don't think they beat Impact this last year. I think Impact knocked them out repeatedly.
Well, I think with Impact winning the Winter Curse paintball tournament. Well, X Factor won the Winter Classic last year, and they didn't. I don't even think did they even play for first or second.
I'm not sure
past year.
I'm not sure if they made the final 4. They'd make it to the 8, and then they'd get knocked out.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll call it the Winter Curse. We'll see. Maybe
we'll see. That's only one team. That's only once.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think it would have been cool to play.
What's up?
I think it would have been cool to play if we would have been able to, be funded to go down there and play, but that's not happening. So it sounds like you're on the Impact bandwagon.
Not a bandwagon, even a little bit. It's
What's the truth? They're good.
I don't even know many of their guys. It is hard to argue with success, and if I get accused of any kind of bandwagon, it's definitely got to be Dynasty, just because they've been doing it so long and so well.
Yeah. Well, it's more facts than it is anything. I mean, it's the proof is in the pudding. So, let's change gears a little bit. What's your favorite marker back there?
Well, autocockers, clearly, if we're gonna go with nostalgia. It's in normal, like if I'm playing airball, it's generally a Planet Eclipse gun. It's what I shoot the most.
Yeah.
If it's old nostalgia things, it's autocockers. If it's for these mechanical events, I borrowed a GMech, and it was all sorts of fun to play.
Dude, I shot one at World Cup just with the air diffuser barrel on it, and dude, that thing was with the mechanical frame was super fun to play around with. Like I didn't even shoot a paintball out of it, but it was super fun.
I went and played. I put a pickup team together and played the 5-man mounds, and played with the GMAC on that and had a good time. It was all sorts of fun. So.
Yeah. I need to try and get one of those things so I can just dick around with it. That would be fun as a pro tournament to have all the pros shooting those things.
I'd be all about it. I would be all about seeing that. Thunder repeatedly went and played with Sundays off. They went and played the 5-man mechanical, and just romper stomped people with enemies. I think they won every one that they played.
Yeah. What so what do you have back there? Is that a auto mag?
3 autocockers and an auto mag. I think you can see 3 of them, and maybe off to this side you can see the edge of an old Splatmaster.
Oh, okay. I see it. The barrel tip of it right there.
The Splatmaster is in the frame over this shoulder.
Oh, gotcha.
Grab guns.
Is this your official tech room, or is this your office?
It's an office. It's an old Evolution autococker. This was the gun that I liked as a kid, that I wanted as a kid.
The exact one?
No. It's I actually owned a gray one with a black rear block, which was their standard colors. And this Evolutions were autocockers that were made over in England by a company called Bell Sales. They made Evolutions, and they later made the Evo X and the Predator.
Gotcha. You know what I miss the sound of is Macroline blowing out.
Of all the things to miss.
It just happens. It always just happens randomly on a picnic table or something, and everybody's like jumps back, like, oh yeah, it's just a Macroline. Don't worry about it.
Man, since I worked for years dealing with safety issues at PMI, not my favorite thing. And anything blowing up, because we did all sorts of testing. We pulled bottles off tanks that were full, and all sorts of things to see where we could make it fail. Because when I started at PMI, we didn't have the grooves down the vertical grooves down regulators. It was just a bleed hole, and that bleed hole could potentially even get clogged with Loctite.
Yeah.
And that was one of the myths in paintball, is that Loctite couldn't stop that much pressure. And that's one of the things we tested one day.
Man, I have a story where I had a bottle almost kill me when I first started working at a paintball field.
Well, bottles are safer now too, because at the base of the threads now on every tank, or on every either regulator or on every CO2 valve, there's a restrictor now that didn't used to be there when those tanks were made when you worked at a field. And they've been there the last 15 years or so, but before that, they were scarier.
Yeah.
And then I think Simon Stevens, whose Inception, he was one of the people that came up with the idea of the bleed grooves. And that broke up, so if a valve ever came off a tank, it would vent completely. There was no way to get it all the way off. And then the restrictor at the base of the threads would help if it ever broke off. If the tank or the valve ever snapped off the tank.
I've had that happen.
Between the two of those, it's not a rocket anymore. I mean, that's definite paintball safety improvements that I got to be there while we were testing, and while different companies were trying to figure out the safest way to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the perfect, pretty much paintball safety example. I think it was 2015. We were playing Ironman, and I go diving into the snake off the break.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it just boom, just kind of blew out and went up into the bunker in front of me. And at first, I didn't know what the hell happened. My shoulder hurt more than anything. But I was like, I kind of got my wits back about me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still good. I'm still here. And yeah, that was interesting.
But no, it's that was your first year back, right?
No, that was my first year back was 13, like half of 13, and then I think that was 2014, because 2015 I played with X Factor.
Yep.
So yeah, so it was 2014.
So, but no, I remember that moment because I remember being proud of you that you got your wits about you, and I think you moved up in the snake and drew guns.
I jumped into the 50. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember thinking, all right, there's an old school guy that knows what he's doing. That he knows he can't shoot anybody, but they don't know that. So he's going to go be a threat in the one way he can. It was an entertaining point.
Yeah, that was a memorable point for sure. And then Rob had a game too. Rob had a point that, because I remember he filled in behind me, and I think he shot a guy coming to run me down. Yeah, exactly. And man, that was super fun. That was super fun, dude. And you know, that's the cool thing too with this whole thing is, like, you know, I'm trying to tell people stories, and that's one of the biggest things with paintball is everybody has a paintball story. Everybody's telling each other paintball stories, and you know, what better way than to film it and to put it online. So, well, John, dude, I absolutely appreciate you taking your time and sitting down with me. You know, where can are you pretty much under the name of Pbnation on everything? Is that you as far as following?
For social media, yes, it's on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. But that is as far as we go with social media at the moment. Don't have a podcast. That's why I'm glad to see guys like you stepping up.
That's all right. I can help out when you need it. When you need it, just let me know.
Like I said, I've enjoyed it. I think you do well at it, and obviously I like some of the old school jerseys. I'm surprised that's not your Avalanche jersey though. I
know. Well, I think my mom has my actual Avalanche jersey. I haven't taken it from her yet.
I didn't get nostalgic about jerseys. Like I kept some of my own, but I didn't trade people jerseys. I didn't collect jerseys. It wasn't until a couple years ago. And a couple years ago, I took a friend out to play at CPX for Living Legends, and he hadn't played in years. And I was like, well, what do you want? What do you want? I was like, I'll bring you whatever you need. He's like, I want to look like somebody that stepped out of the 90s. And I was like, funny enough, I've got an old Far Side jersey. I've got an old Rage autococker that you can shoot. And he's like, I'm all about it. So he had a great time. And afterwards, he's like, hey, what's your address? I'm like, what do you have? He's like, I got just some old stuff, because he used to work at Paint Magazine.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, all right. So he sends me a box of jerseys. And he's like, just as a thank you.
Yeah.
And it was a Tom Cole Bad Company, Billy Saransky Aftershock, Shane Pestana Iron Men jersey, an Opie jersey from when he played on Image.
What?
Just this treasure trove.
Holy shit.
I had to tell him, I was like, I can't accept these. He's
Yeah.
like, well, what do you can't accept them? I was like, you sent me over $1,000 in jerseys. And he's like, really? He's like, can you give me an Evolution out of them? And I was like, I can easily get you an Evolution autococker out of these. And so sold online, but after touching those, it was just like a piece of history.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I wish I had some of these old, just these. I mean, it was such an old Shane Pestana jersey. It was a JT jersey, back from when the Iron Men were still JT.
Wow.
And been with Dye since what, 2002, 2001. So
yeah.
But it was, like I said, it was just this piece of paintball history. And at the time, I collected some odds and ends on guns and some other things, but it really set my brain into overdrive that jerseys are really a piece of paintball professional history.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I mean, I don't have a giant collection. You know, I just have. I mean, I've had these for years. I haven't really collected anybody's in a while. But I like the old. I mean, I like the old ones. I think they look cooler. Well, the thing is too. I feel like the jerseys now they're so busy with graphics and they're kind of just. Yeah, and padding. That's another thing. I cannot stand padding in jerseys. Whenever I get a jersey with padding in it, I cut it all out because for me it's constricting. Like when I go to switch hands or anything like that, it's like catching on the chest pad. I'm like, nope, can't do it. Cut it all out and good to go.
I have a white Tippmann Effect jersey, like your jersey behind you, but it's a no-name one. But I just so many pro players came out of Tippmann. Mm-hmm. It was nuts. That with Fatty going to All-Americans, Tim Montresor,
Cody, Drew, Trozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Nuts. That Tippmann even back then was a rec ball, such a strong that I don't know if it was recruiting. I don't know if it was the fact that if you can play with a Tippmann, then you can play with anything, or what it was. And I love that you guys played X-Ball with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it. You know, honestly, I think it's because I enjoyed the game so much that it didn't matter. You know, and I'm obviously a competitive person, so I think it didn't really. You can put a banana in my hands, and I'll go out there. So I just love the game that much.
Man, somebody did that. I want to say on ESPN on a game they threw.
They had a banana in their hands?
Literally had a banana in their hands.
It was me. Surprise! All right, man.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just one of the turtles, though. But man, that's a while back.
Yeah, that's brave. All right, John, dude, I appreciate it. I'll let you get going, and I will talk to you. I'm sure I'll talk to you very, very soon.
It was fantastic catching up with you, Carl. Take care, man.
All right, take care. See ya. Great conversation with a great guy. Very informative. I mean, he knows all of the rumors going on. I mean, just because of, you know, who he is and what he has to do. But also, he's been around the league for so long. And, you know, it's crazy how much paintball that guy has seen and been around. So, you know, I really enjoyed picking his brain and having a conversation. So another quick thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Paintball. Like I said, make sure you guys check out their Trading Your Gear program. It's very cool and very, very forward-thinking, I feel, with today's whole, you know, paintball players want to go through their gear all the time. We always want to upgrade. We always want to get the biggest and the best and the newest and the shiniest. So they are accommodating that. Make sure you check them out, drpaintball.com. We are also brought to you by Carbon Paintball. Like I said, they have the new CC line out. It is cheaper than the CC line, but I can guarantee you it's built the same, just not all the bells and whistles. Gloves, jerseys, pants, packs. Check them out. CarbonPaintball.com. And if you type in the promo code TPOP capitalized, you will get 10% off your entire order. And if you or your team is interested in any kind of sponsorships, make sure you shoot either the email on the website on Carbon Paintball or myself a message, carl@carbonpaintball.com. We are also brought to you by Planet Eclipse and the most famous marker around, the LV1, the LV1.5, the LVR, the LV... Did I say the 1.5? But right when I initially saw that thing, I had to shoot it, and I did, and I have been ever since. I may have strayed off the track a year or so, but I had to try it. I believe it's when the 3.5 came out, and then I had a CS1 as well. But my heart is with the LV platform. So I can't thank you guys enough, and I really appreciate you listening. You know, a lot of people just say it. I truly mean it, and I'm glad that people are listening to this thing, because I feel like it's bringing the paintball community together, and people can hear these stories, and people can hear this not, I don't want to call it gossip, but just banter pretty much back and forth, and just good conversation, I feel. And that's really what I want to bring to you guys is great conversations and great stories, and I enjoy it thoroughly, and I hope it shows through the podcast. But thank you to everybody out there, and you can hit me up social media, Carl_Markowski on Instagram, and Carl Microwave Markowski on Facebook, and yeah, I enjoy it, and I am just going to keep pumping these out as many as I can. I want to get the most influential people on here from the paintball world, from the world in general, and everybody has a story, and they all need to be told, and they all can be listened to right here on the Playing On podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you soon. Peace.